Bolt your windows. Lock your doors. Check your closets. Look under your bed. And then prepare yourself. For it's another episode of Dark Night of the Podcast.
You're beautiful, that's for sure. Troy, you'll never, ever fade. You're lovely, but it's not for sure that I won't ever change. And though my love is rare, though my love is true. Everybody now, I'm like a bird, but if I wait,
I'm like a bird.
I don't know where my home is. I don't know where my soul is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 2024. She's back. Nelly Furtado's back, Troy. I've been waiting for this moment.
I saw her new album coming out in September.
Looking thick, looking good. Oh my God. How long? For longer than this podcast, I've been yearning for the return of Nelly Furtado. You know it, Troy. You know it firsthand.
I should have known how you were going to use that song to open this episode as well.
Well, how many episodes can I actually incorporate that song?
You picked the right one. I'm like a bird. Anyway, we're going to get to the birds fucking galore. More birds than I've ever seen in my goddamn life in this movie. Alfred Hitchcock, eat your fucking heart out.
Listeners, I just want you to know, like, going into this episode, like, Troy and I were already laughing without even talking about this, because this is going to be very much different from the last few titles that we've selected. We're covering a movie today that I think that I can honestly say, Troy, I think that in the history of Dark Night of the Podcast, I would say this would rank in the top 5 of the worst films that we've ever covered. Would you agree?
I would rather talk about Nelly Furtado, Roger. One of my favorite
when wouldn't we?
One of my favorite pop songs of all time. I'm going to say top 10 songs of all time, of my favorite songs of all time, period, pop songs or otherwise, is Say It Right. Fucking love that song.
What?
Brilliant
you
song.
Understand? Troy and I are starting another podcast, guys. It's all about Nelly Furtado.
And we're testing it out here. Fuck Beaks. We're gonna spend the next 2 hours talking about Nelly Furtado.
Today's episode we're talking about her daughter Navis. I know all about it. But no, I literally, if there's one thing I know more than horror movies, it's Nelly Furtado. But that is for another podcast. But I will say It Right, Man-Eater. You know what? In this man-eater working there, make it spin hard. You know what's a man-eater in this movie though? Birds. Birds are literally pecking people to death in this movie that we're covering today. And like, I don't know. After watching this movie and stepping away from it, Troy, I don't even fucking know where to begin. This movie is such a clusterfuck of a film that, like, I'm almost exasperated with it. What are your initial reactions? Like, before we even jump into the actual review, what is your takeaway after watching the movie Beaks? Beaks the movie.
I mean, I think you summed it up. It's definitely one of the worst films we've covered. I generally take a lot of pride and care in the fact that we both prepare for these episodes so well. I know I watch the movies multiple times. You watch the movies multiple times. We take thorough notes so that we don't skip a beat. I've never, Roger, not wanted to watch a movie again.
And Troy, I get it. I completely get it.
It was a chore to watch this again. I mean, yeah, I don't know where to start. It's my initial takeaway, Roger, is we talk a lot. You know, we covered Long Legs on our Patreon. I do want to shout out our Patreon. It's still there. We just posted 2 brand new episodes on the Patreon. So if you want to give us a little bit extra support and get access to tons of bonus content, we just posted a recap of our experience filming Hollow Lake, but he also posted a recap of our initial reactions to Longlegs. And I'm not going to spoil anything about Longlegs or what we initially felt about it, but I know one of the comments that one of us made about Longlegs, Roger, is there seemed to be a lot of certain setups for things that never really paid off. Not to say we both did not like the movie, but that was a comment that was made. And then when I look at this film, Roger,
all it is things that don't pay off.
yes, there are characters that you think are going to be important that just disappear. There's just random characters that appear to have their eyeballs pecked out. There's horrible children, bratty children running around. And then by the end of it, it just kind of ends and you're like, what the fuck? This is the most anticlimactic piece of shit I've ever sat through. Like, I was literally seething when the ending came. I'm like, are you fucking serious? You're serious? That's it? That's how you're going to end
I'm
this?
going to say it right now. Like, I selected this title because I thought it was time that we have a good old time on Dark Knight, the podcast, and talk about a film that, honestly, that you and I can just tear the fuck apart. And I think this film is ripe for the picking. Because, honestly, I mean, there were so many things wrong with this film. It is, I mean, the script, let's start with the script itself. It does not know what story it's trying to tell. It does make the decision to like focus on random different groups of people, but they never like really intersect. Like they do briefly, but overall a lot of these groups, these parties of people have absolutely no connection with one another. And so like if you're going to do something like that, like if you're going to be like exploring different scenarios of around the world, how different groups of people are being affected by what is apparently a worldwide phenomenon, which birds are attacking everyone's just being attacked by birds. I would expect that, like, you know, there would be something that brought these parties together, some reason why we were focusing on these selected groups of individuals. And like, truthfully, I don't know like what the end game was here. Like, I don't know what the goal, like the script, whoever sat down and thought like this is a good finalized script didn't know what the fuck what they were doing, because truthfully this is an example of a film that from start to finish I feel like they're just going into it blind. They really don't know what their end game is here, and it's such an unsatisfying conclusion because of exactly what you said. Like the movie just ends abruptly, as in we will get to that shortly, but it just ends abruptly, and a lot of these characters that have been introduced with kind of like big important moments over the course of the film do not get a proper satisfying conclusion. Like they're just like left out to dry, and it left me angry. It left me actually like feeling irate. The decisions they made, the note they chose to end this film on, the characters they chose to focus on for the final big stretch of the film, like it just did not make sense to me. And it almost feels as though they were filming like one movie and then like I don't know, maybe they lost an actor, someone walked off the production, something like that, so they had to like pad time, fill time with like a completely different group of actors and characters, because it does not make sense to me how they wove this story together.
I feel like one Rene Cardona Jr., the director of this film, was, I get the impression that he's like, oh, I'm going to show people that I can, you know, emulate Alfred Hitchcock, because let's not fail to mention the similarities that this film has with Alfred Hitchcock's masterpiece, The Birds. I really feel like this is a kid, and I don't know how old he was when he made this film, but I feel like this is somebody who was like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna show the audience that I can do a film just as well as Alfred Hitchcock can about killer birds. And it really feels, it just kind of feels like a high school student got the idea to make his own version of The Birds. And there's so much wrong with the film. And, you know, there are some really impressive things about the film. I'm not going to trash everything about the film. There are some really, I thought, some pretty craftily handled cinematography moments with like the birds attacking like people on hand gliders and shit like that. I thought that was pretty good. Like it looked good, but everything else, it jumps around. Like you're focused on one set of characters, and then all of a sudden it jumps to these other set of characters that you think are going to be important. And then, I mean, I've not seen a movie jump around geographically this much since I don't even know Like every 3 seconds, you're in a different fucking city.
Oh my God, there's so many things. There's so much. Like I wanted to start word vomiting my issues with this film. I'm gonna pause real quick because welcome to Dark Knight the podcast. First of all, to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We are covering Beaks the movie, which is a 1987, I believe, 1987 film directed by Rene Cardona Jr. You are correct. He was close to 50 when he made this movie.
Okay.
This man is not. He is not new. New to the realm of cinema at this point. He directed movies like Cyclone, The Bermuda Triangle. He focuses on disaster films. I was reading through his Wikipedia. I am going to point out he is known for the fact that he was comfortable with violence against animals on his sets, which makes me really mad. So I'm kind of happy this movie sucks because, like, go fuck yourself. Like, how dare you think it's acceptable to injure animals on a set? But that is the movie that we're covering today, and it's definitely like we're taking a totally different route than our last few movies that we covered, and I think this is in a way refreshing that we're going to tear it apart.
It's on Tubi, so if you've never seen it, which I'm betting a lot of you have not, stop it, watch it on Tubi. It's an hour and 40 minutes. You'll never get back. But I think you should definitely check it out if you're gonna listen to us tear this poor movie apart. Because yes, I mean, yeah, and that pisses me off too. I'm sure he better not hurt any of these fucking birds on this setup. I bet you these birds were killed. I bet you birds were killed on this fucking set if he has that attitude, which pisses me off anymore.
I'm sure of it.
These are
Absolutely.
birds are just every fucking where. Even like, okay, let's just get into it. The opening scene is fucking birds, just flocks of birds flying over the city dump. And this movie jumps from city to city to city to city to city every like 3 minutes. You're in a different location, so be prepared for that. But talk about a fucking jarring opening scene. You're getting all these seagulls flying over the trash as, dump trucks and stuff are taking care of the landfill, and then it really, Roger, hard cuts to a bird being blown apart.
And that bird really got blown apart. Like, I'm sorry, you're seeing birds getting shot midair. Makes me mad. You know what else makes me mad over the course of this film? The amount of stock footage that is incorporated. Whenever there is a moment of simmering, like developing suspense, which never really hits because of this, the amount of stock footage, of B-roll footage, of flocks of birds flying over fields, trying to make it ominous. And like, I get it. Like there is automatically something kind of creepy to me about birds with their eyes and the way they look and the way they move and the way they just are. And like, I don't trust them. I mean, I like them, but like, I don't. Birds make me kind of uncomfortable. The midair swooping down, geese. There's certain kinds of birds, ostriches. Like, I am afraid of birds. They're raptor-like. It doesn't take a lot to make me scared of a bird. I'm just putting that out there. But like the way they incorporate stock footage in this film, like whenever like they have like people running or fleeing, like the birds aren't really doing a lot around them, like aside from a few specific moments. So like there's a ton of moments of just like people like running across an empty beach with nothing happening, and then they'll cut to a field with like a flock of birds overhead, like making it try to feel really dramatic, adding the sounds of squawking, and then they'll cut back to like the sequence, and it's so jarring because after a while it doesn't work. It's really not like something. It's not a tool that they're using properly to manifest actual suspense and tension. It's just like stock footage, like tons and tons of stock footage. So it starts right off the bat, like right away you're seeing just tons of footage of like stock footage of birds flying around, shots of birds, doves with their eyes looking at the camera, close-ups on doves' eyes. They really managed to make doves seem really ominous in this film. But yeah, and like you kind of like just like launch right into it. And I gotta say, it's Christopher Atkins, like starring in this film as the credits are rolling. Christopher Atkins is back up against Mother Nature once again. We have to keep in mind, like one of the first movies that we ever covered was Shakma. Another film that I would say is far more effective in what it's trying to do with that tiny monkey, that little monkey man running around screaming. But that was Christopher Atkins as well. And there's something about Christopher Atkins going up against animals that just I guess I want to say it works for me, but like it doesn't. You know what I mean? But this seems to be like a subgenre that he's a fan of.
Yeah, he's pointless in this film. He's terrible. Let's get that out of the way. This is probably the worst performance I've ever seen him give. And it literally, I feel like he got the paycheck. He showed up. He read his lines. That's about all he was doing. He knew this was nonsense, and you totally comes across that he knows this is nonsense. Like I was not even I could care one shits about this character and this broad too, the female character. And you know what? I literally, Roger, the only reason I knew their names when I started taking notes is because I did peek at the IMDb just to see the score. I literally kept track the second time I watched it. You do not hear this girl's name until 46 minutes into the film. I clocked it. 46 minutes is she's supposed to be the lead character, and you don't hear her name. Her name's Vanessa Cartwright, but you don't hear it until 46 minutes. That bugged me because I'm like, who is this? Like, we're supposed to care about her and you can't even give me her name. Like, it's so hokey. She's supposed to be this news anchor, and it's Michelle Johnson, lovely, who actually, has quite a resume. I actually peeked at her resume on IMDb as well. She was in Death Becomes Her, Roger. She was in Waxworks. So she has a pretty, decent resume behind her. But again, it's kind of the same thing with Kristen Racken. She's not really given a lot to do. I feel like there was potential for her to give a compelling performance, but I feel like the director was more heavily focused on all of the birds, wrangling all the birds and all of the birds effect. And I'm getting the impression that a lot of the dialogue takes, he only allowed the actors to do one take.
Oh, the line flubs in this movie are everywhere. I've never
Yeah.
seen a film, and a film of like I'm thinking of this caliber in the sense like there had to be a budget behind this movie. Like you've already pointed out the locations. This film is worldwide. This is the pit bull of low budget horror movies. Oh, I want to say low budget, but I'm guessing there's an actual budget behind this film because it's Mr. Worldwide. It's it's all over the fucking place. You're in Spain. You're in Puerto Rico. You're in what, like Rome. You're everywhere. And like I'm all about like lavish locations. Like give them to me, but also do it with purpose. Like in this, it just seems like if anything, it started to get annoying because I was like, where the fuck am I and how are they getting to all these places? And like you're jumping all over the place because you're following different groups of people. So I never technically even know where I'm at in this movie. Like I just gave up. But there are so many points in the movie where like all of a sudden it comes up and you're like, you're in San Juan. And you're like, I'm in San Juan. Why the fuck am I in San Juan? I guess like the goal was like to make it clear that there are birds everywhere, but that's something I'm already aware of.
We know.
We don't know it. So, and I gotta say about Vanessa, I do just want to state, I agree. There is potential there. What I feel with this movie is exactly what you're saying. Like working with the birds had to be such a hellscape. And this director was fixated on the birds, making them his stars. So the actors, I think you can almost see in certain scenes, you can see where the actors are just like over it. Like there's a few scenes a little bit later in the film that I'm assuming they probably had to film earlier on because there's so much more chemistry and energy, especially between Peter and Vanessa, our two leads. But these opening scenes, like with her in the newsroom and everything, like she just seems fucking checked out. And anything to do with Vanessa giving a news report, like, I mean, this broad cannot get through a basic sentence. She's marble mouthing herself through all of this fucking spiel, and she's the most lackluster news reporter I've ever seen. Like, I would never watch this bitch. Like, she's so lame. Like, at least give me a little charisma on camera. She's just standing there with this flat monotone voice being like, birds are taking over the world. And symbols of peace are now symbols of death. And I'm like, you couldn't be any less excited about this if you tried, Vanessa. Like, she does seem so checked out, and it does make for kind of like a lackluster. I mean, everything about this film's lackluster, but especially in our leading lady. Oftentimes she does come across as very like, just like, I don't want to be here, you know?
Yeah, I noticed several of her line flubs, and I was wondering, was that supposed to be on purpose, and then I just got to the point where I really do think that the director gave these actors one take. That's all you get, bitch. That's all you're getting, one take. You flub the line. Who cares? We're keeping it in. We need to move on to get these fucking birds to attack skydivers.
We got to fly to Rome. We got to get over to Rome because it's so important to the story. Really lends to the story that we're in Rome. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, the first thing we get introduced to her is she's doing a news broadcast, and you're right, it's so monotone. She's talking about this gentleman who just blew away a bird that we witnessed. He is apparently his name is Giuseppe, and she is giving this news broadcast. We are here with Giuseppe, and he's going to attempt something that has never been attempted before. It's only an expert marksman can do this. He's going to shoot a bird mid-flight blindfolded. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Is this really newsworthy?
I mean, is it newsworthy? And why are you killing live animals on like public television? Honestly, he's blowing these birds up. Like, he's shooting these birds, and I know I'm seeing real birds get shot. Like, these are not fake birds, and it makes me mad, Troy. It makes me really mad. And this guy, it does look like he misses. I don't know if he misses the second bird. He at least hits the one for sure. But it seems to be like a big to-do that this guy's just blasting birds in the sky. Go fuck off. Fuck off with that gun and you're fucking blind.
But at least the birds get some revenge on him here in the next scene, though. So I do have to at least take solace in that. But yeah, he blows that first bird away. Come on. He's blindfolded. You really tell me he hit that bird, but he blows it to smithereens. The second one does get away, and he's all proud of himself. And there's that moment where Peter says, why did you do that? Why did you want to do that? And Giuseppe says, for pleasure.
Yeah. Is Giuseppe's character, I need to make sure I understand. Is his character consistently throughout the whole course of the film, and I'm not tying this together? Which one is he?
Yeah, he's the grandpa, that birthday party at the
eye patch. He's eye patch.
He's eye patch. Yeah.
This is how much I struggled with this film, Troy. I did not even know that man was the same guy as the dude that fucking was shooting the birds. So for me, oh my God, I'm such a fucking idiot. This is how bad this movie is. For me, I was like, who the fuck is this old man with the eye patch? But now it makes sense to me why that hawk claims his eyeball. We'll get there in a minute. God damn this fucking movie. I am so annoyed that I still didn't know that. I did not know after multiple viewings that's the same guy.
I didn't catch it the first viewing, I'll be honest. The second viewing, it made sense. It clicked. And then, yeah. So they have a live broadcast of the birds getting blown away. Woohoo. Now we cut to Madrid. I don't know where they were in this opening scene, but now we're in Madrid, where Vanessa approaches her manager. So these are clearly Americans, right? Like Vanessa.
Oh, everybody's American. None of the characters are actually native to the place that they're in.
I know. So would Madrid, I don't know. I'm not. But would Madrid, Spain, really have this blonde white woman who speaks only English as their news anchor? Why does it have to be in Madrid? And I get it. The director is actually from Spain, yes. I believe he's a Spanish director. Mm-hmm. But I mean, at least I was like, really, this pearly white broad is not going to be a news anchor in Madrid, Spain. But here we are. Everyone in this news office is speaking perfect English. Her creepy fucking manager, she's all upset because she has to do a story on killer chickens.
Oh, and I immediately thought of the of what night is it? Night of the Killer Chickens, or is it just Night of the Chickens? Starring one Genevieve Rossi.
Yeah. Maybe this is where she got that idea, because they say it's the attack of the killer chickens.
Yeah, they're coming. And there is this whole story that comes up about this farmer, this gentleman who was attacked by chickens. And so he survived, but he survives the attack. But it is, I will say, like, if there is one side story I find intriguing, here it is this gentleman that they're going to bring in a little bit, who is the one that is basically the one that survives this attack. It's one of the sub stories that's focused on the least overall. But it is one that I think does at least have a bit of a payoff. Like, this is a film that is pretty awful. But there is this whole subplot with this poultry farmer who is a very minor character, Mr. Nielsen, that she's about to go visit. And like what ends up happening to him, I would say if there's one scene in this movie that does get like blow my skirt up, it is that sequence. So at least that has a payoff for me.
Well, she argues that she should not have to be covering attack chickens, and he tells her, "You will be doing this, or I'm going to can your pretty little ass." He tells her. He just seems real scuzzy. I wanted more from this guy, but whatever. Yeah. So he does invite her to a party that evening too, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I only got time for chickens." And everyone in the fucking studio acts like it's the funniest thing they've ever heard, because you get like reaction shots of everyone in the studio, like, "Oh, that was so funny," as she walks away. Yeah, so now we move from Madrid, Spain, Roger, to Villanueva del Paradillo, Spain, where Giuseppe, the guy who blew the bird away in the first scene, is getting checked out by his nurse, this blonde nurse who does make an appearance at the end as well. And she's like, "Yeah, you seem like you're doing really well, Mister." He gets up to go look out on his patio, Roger, and immediately, this fucking hawk flies from a tree and rips this guy's eyeball out. And you get like a close up of just like this black hole in his eye and blood. And he's like, I was like, okay, here we go. This is, I guess, picking up a little bit.
Without warning or explanation, this hawk steals this man's eye. And knowing now that he is the one that was shooting the birds, this makes complete sense. So, okay, I'll take it. But it is sudden and it is abrupt. And he like literally he just walks out on his balcony. He's standing there, and out of fucking nowhere, this hawk swoops down and its claw delicately like plucks the eyeball from his socket, and he's just standing there screaming, blood splurting from his eye, and the bird just flying away with a little eyeball hanging in its talons. And I will say, like, you do get multiple eyeball removals over the course of this film. If I'm going to be giving it perks, if I'm going to be giving it credit for anything, it's when these birds do violently kill people. Like, at least you see it. Like, you do see multiple occasions of people getting like violently killed by these birds.
But I also, I'm the timeline of this movie. It seems like this has all taken place over the course of just maybe 1 or 2 days. Maybe, I don't know. I was trying to pick up the timeline because his eyeball gets ripped out, but then here, what seems like the next day, he's perfectly fine. He's just wearing an eye patch. So I was wondering, like, what is the timeline? How long of a period is this attack happening? I guess they are globetrotting everywhere, so it can't be. It can't be a matter of like a day because they're going all the way around the fucking world. But like this dude seems, the next time we see him, he seems perfectly fine. Like he's not traumatized. He's just walking around with an eye patch.
I think if there's one thing to kind of compare this film to, in the sense of like the pacing and just how it's handled, its structure, because you mentioned, he's a Spanish director. This film gives me the vibe of like a lot of the Italian horror films of like the 70s and early 80s, like The Beyond, Fulci, things like that. And, where they're so convoluted, and oftentimes like they don't like stick the landing, or they don't tie together the loose ends, but it almost becomes like part of their style. This film takes a lot of takes a similar approach. It takes a similar approach to how it handles the story. But like you do have like this film is like promoted as a far more Americanized piece of cinema. When you look at like the leads, you look at the fact that there is a lot of dubbing in this, but the leads for the most part, are saying most of their dialogue. It doesn't feel as like rough around the edges in a lot of manners, with the different locations. It does feel a bit more polished. But then you have these really jarring moments, be it audio, dubbing, pacing, transitions. Like a lot of the things here feel very clunky, and it does make me think of that style of cinema, that Italian style of horror. But I don't mean that in a complimentary way to this film. I don't feel like they're utilizing it in the right way. I just think that's some of the influence that they maybe took on. But I don't think it pays off in this movie. If anything, it hinders a lot of it. It causes a lot of flaws in the system.
Yeah, no, I get the comparison because we talked about that with our review of The Beyond, where it seems like Fulci is definitely more intrigued by the visual aspects of the film, the special effects, the gore, than he is about like performances and things like that. And it does give his films kind of that jarring tone and atmosphere, but it's effective. Here it's not effective at all. I mean, it's just frustrating because I just don't think this director has that level of talent or the crew behind him to make an atmospheric, tonally solid piece. Yeah, so now we cut to Vanessa. She's reporting from that chicken farm, Roger. This is the scene that you think is effective with basically they're at this farm where I guess a couple years ago chickens and turkeys and shit went wild and killed a bunch of people. And there's like one survivor. They cut to this gentleman who's walking along telling his story. He used to work at this farm, and he wants to go into this like little church to tell the story. She asks him if he knows why he was attacked, and he says something like, I don't know. The chickens, they all got together like they were taking orders. Some of this dialogue about these fucking birds, I was just like, are you fucking serious? The chickens, Roger, got together like they were taking orders.
They're really trying to make the birds seem intimidating, and like they're not. Like, I mean, they're not. And there's this whole bit here where like, he has this big dramatic, very melodramatic. There's a lot of big melodramatic moments here, lots of big speeches. This guy comes in, he's talking about the birds. And they have this whole bit here coming up with the sparrow, where they're like, well, he's like, I'm convinced that the birds, are watching me. He's basically saying like he's convinced that the birds work together and that they've now targeted him and all of that. And it like, it's an interesting concept. Like, honestly, like, I think there's something interesting there, and the fact that you can tell they were wanting to do the movie The Birds, but do it on a worldwide scale. I think that's why intentionally they did cover so much ground, because honestly, with a story like this, they could have easily picked one location and stuck to it, and it would not have changed the story. Like, it did not need to go worldwide, but I think the way they wanted to differentiate this from The Birds was to make it something that was happening across the globe. And there's a really interesting concept there, but like, truthfully, they just don't have the prowess. They don't have the understanding of how to create really truly scary moments with these birds. And so one thing that they end up doing is for so many scenes in this movie, they depend on an excessive amount of slow motion. I've never seen so much slow motion in one film, and it literally made me angry, because I love like slow motion. I think if you use slow motion in the right moments for the right sequences at the right times, like, you can create something really effective. But this film abuses it. It beats us over the head with it. It is just every moment. You could tell that they didn't know how to really make some of these sequences, like, execute them. They didn't know how to pull it up. So they just rely on these big, long, slow motion sequences. And it's like, fuck, man. Like, God, I'm so sick of seeing things in slow motion. I literally say about a third of this movie is probably in slow motion.
Yeah, it really reminded me of like Sledgehammer. Remember how much fucking slow motion was in Sledgehammer? But yes, every bird attack in this film is done in painstakingly slow motion. But yeah, there's this moment where this gentleman he tells Vanessa that he really thinks that the birds are like out to get him, and like every bird that he comes in contact with tries to harm him. So yeah, she has this canary that's in a cage that she lets out of the cage, and we watch it fly around before it finally like flies by him and like scratches his eye and then flies out the door.
Yeah, it gives him the tiniest, like, most subtle, like, scrape across the cheek, and then it flutters away. And I get like the idea of the smallest, least intimidating bird, even that, like, having aggression towards him. There's something interesting there, but I know it's just something about the way that they execute it that it just doesn't read scary. It's kind of comedic in a way.
Well, yeah, and they don't let it. I mean, they don't do really any like follow up with it. It just all of a sudden just cuts to a random scene. I talk about a random scene to end all random scenes. We just cut to this small plane. Like, we don't know who these people are. It's a pilot trying to land his plane. He radios to traffic control, and they tell him he cannot land because a flock of birds is basically hovering over the landing strip, and it's already caused 2 planes to crash. So he's going to have to go land at a different area. Well, in the meantime, he flies right into the birds, and they literally, Roger, I don't know, are helicopters, or this isn't a helicopter, it's a small plane. Is the glass on a small plane really that like easy to break? Because the birds like break into this glass and like peck the shit out of this guy, causing him to crash, which is the most yeah, talk about stock footage. We see the plane, we see this guy screaming, I'm going down, and then you literally cut to like a stock explosion in the middle of a field.
Yeah, like this sequence, and again, like there's something there. There's a concept there. I love the idea of this plane getting brought down by birds, but like he's like, I'm gonna fly through them, and he starts flying through it, and you just see these bloody, pulpy birds like like flopping through the sky as he's just like sawing through them with his blade, with the plane's blades, and then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, you have this bird just fucking bust through the window, and it really is like, how the fuck did this bird manage to do this? Not only like how did the bird break through the glass, but like this guy's like flying a plane. It's not like he's just sitting still in the air. Like this bird has to be very strategic about how it's like coming at this glass in order to just break through it. And somehow it breaks through it. He's pecking at the guy. It cuts over to something that cuts back. The guy's covered in blood, screaming into his fucking walkie-talkie, radioing for help or whatever. And then all of a sudden the plane just explodes. And it is like so awkward and so like clunky the way that it's edited, and there's so many moments here, especially moments that are supposed to be like action sequences, that are not edited well. I mean, so many sequences where it cut, like it awkwardly cuts from like shot to shot to shot, and there's no rhythm, there's no flow. Like the moment earlier where Giuseppe got his eye pulled out of his head, like also like that was a really gory effect, but like it was very clunky in the editing. It just didn't feel polished. It didn't feel finished. And that's any scene in this movie that has any form of action or like build up to it really kind of falls apart in the edit.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you that, yeah, this is an example of probably one of the most clunkily edited scenes I've seen in quite some time with this whole plane crash thing. But yeah, that's it. Just a random guy crashes a plane. We don't hear about it again, because now we move on to Vanessa and Peter, who go visit Giuseppe, the man who had his eyeball pulled out. He basically tells them I do like the fact that he kind of acknowledges like he had this coming, because he tells them, I've spent my whole life as a hunter hunting animals and killing them. So I guess now it's my turn to be hunted. And he says that I think that this very well may be connected to the chicken attack that happened. And again, I want to know, how long ago did this guy have his eyeball pulled out? Because you think isn't that a pretty horrific like injury to have your eye ripped out by a bird? But he's just wearing an eye patch now. He's up, moving, talking. I would think that would cause some hospitalization. I don't know. But he's saying ridiculous things. Some of the dialogue, he's like, I feel like I'm always being watched by doves.
Hunted by doves. I mean, that sounds like a beautiful way to die. Honestly, like if I'm going to die at the hands of doves, or the talents of doves. I mean, it really is like kind of magical in a way. Like, don't you think?
Yeah. When doves cry.
Oh my God, magical. And really, like these doves are like, I would say if there's a main focal species of bird, it is the dove. You see a lot of dove kills in this movie. They must have had a high volume of doves wherever it was that they were filming.
Doves and pigeons. Pigeons.
Oh my God.
But Peter makes the suggestion that maybe the birds can sense Giuseppe's fear, and he says, no, the birds are organizing a war against mankind. And he's like, if you guys don't believe me, I know that there was a town attacked by birds 30 years ago, and there are 2 survivors. They're in Rome.
Okay.
Right. Yes, I want to know the budget for this, because these 2, Ho-Hum newscaster and her boyfriend, who's her cameraman, they're just flying all over the world. They have unlimited budget for travel, apparently.
I mean, this has to take place over multiple weeks, because the fucking travel time alone, like by the time they get from place to place, it's got to be multiple days. So I'm thinking this has to be over a period of weeks. But I mean, yeah, but so now we're going to Rome, and like, to see more random people who really have no impact on the movie.
The blonde.
Oh my God, the blonde.
Her line delivery is some of the worst. I kept thinking, Roger is gonna dig this game because she is drunk. She's has a fucking drink in her hand the entire time. She seems like she's fucking drugged out of her mind on this couch.
She's dramatically recalling the events of this animal attack. And you said, so did he say it was 30 years ago that this
Yeah,
happened? Okay, here's my issues. I got a few of them. First of all, there was one attack 30 years ago and then nothing's happened since, and now the birds are regrouping. What? Like, why? Like, what caused the birds to say now's the time? Like, I don't understand how these events are connected. Also, 30 years ago, like, okay, so this buxom blonde with her very shiny necklace that keeps catching the light, it's blinding. It's very distracting. And the guy she's with, I mean, like, I'm saying maybe like mid 40s to 50. And so like when this attack happened on this other town, like this random attack that they were, I guess, the only survivors of, which you think would be like something that people would recollect and be a big story. Um, I mean, were they children? Like, were they youths?
I was confused. Is this supposed to be a couple? Are they like a romantic couple? Are they married? Because I was distracted by how much older he looks than her, and I'm not being like, but I just like he looks quite a bit older than she does. Like she doesn't look. She looks like she could be in her like mid 30s, and he looks like he's pushing 60. So I'm like, are they supposed to be a couple, or is this brother and sister? Is it father and daughter? I'm so confused.
It's very confusing. But you know what I'm here for? That
The
random
baby.
fucking flashback in which we see a woman and a baby get
I
literally
love
mauled by birds.
Yes, guys, we literally, she's like, in this, she's so dramatic. She's like, oh, yeah, they attacked and it was horrible. They had a habit of going for the wounded and the weakest. And then she dramatically looks into the camera and we get this flashback of this woman with her goddamn baby in a park, and she puts the baby in the carriage, and we get a lot of shots of the baby just having a gay old time in this carriage when all of a sudden this flock of fucking pigeons comes out of nowhere and fucking devours them.
And you don't see it, but you know those pigeons devoured both the woman and the baby. And like, here's my gripe. Here's my gripe, Troy. You know, she's recollecting this big attack. And you get this one great bit where you do see this woman get killed, but like this could be any random. I feel like the director went out and probably filmed 10 different sub stories, side stories. And this woman, he's like, I'm just going to film this woman and this baby getting killed, and we'll find a place to put it in the film. Like, I don't think he knew where he was going to use this scene. It's not like the blonde is shown witnessing this. It's not like you see other people in the town running, fleeing as they're all mauled by pigeons. Like, you just see one kill, well, two technically. You see the woman and the baby getting mauled by birds, and that's all you see. And it doesn't seem in line with the story that she's telling. Like what she's saying, I understand she's saying the weak ones. A baby is weak. Of course, the baby would be eaten. I'm happy it happens. But like, it doesn't seem like the town is under attack. It just seems like this mother and child duo are killed. It doesn't seem to fit like what she's telling me. So it just feels like very like shoehorned in.
Yeah, if you're going to make me watch 5 minutes of this dull newscaster interviewing these equally dull couple, I want to see, and it's supposed to be about an attack on a town that happened 30 years. Show me the fucking attack on the town, not just some random woman pushing her poor baby in the middle of a park. But that's all we get. And this blonde is like, so she's like, oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. And her husband's like, yeah, I think the birds were acting out of hate.
I mean, I don't trust birds. I don't think birds like me. I would say hate is a strong word here. They're giving the birds a lot of credit in this movie. A lot of credit.
Well, Peter even asks, he says, do you think it was hate or an instinct to survive? And Vanessa scolds him. She's like, I'm asking the questions. And she repeats the exact same question he just asked. And the man says, this is like kind of the first hint that we get of like what the motive they're trying to paint for these birds attacking is, because the man says, I think it's caused by man's contaminating everything. And the birds are just trying to fight for their survival in any way they can.
No holds barred. That's what they say. And now we're off to San Juan, Puerto Rico. Because of course we're going someplace completely different with absolutely no relation to what just happened. And we are now introduced to another group of people, a completely brand new group of people. We've never met any of these people before. We don't have any backstory on these people. This is a family. There's a husband and a wife and two children. and they are in San Juan, Puerto Rico, taking photos. And Troy, I'm going to say it right now. I don't understand what the fuck the purpose of these people is. Like what the purpose is. Like this family, literally, we follow them for a period of time over the course of the movie with literally zero payoff. There is absolutely no payoff. And so, like, as I'm talking about this family over the course of the film, I get very angry. I get very mad about them because, like, it's not like they meet up with the other survivors and they tag up together so they can take on the birds. No, they're just running around in San Juan, finding bodies, fighting birds, and then as quickly as we're introduced to them, they're gone. And I just it pisses me off. This is one aspect of the movie that literally makes me angry.
Well, that's what I said at the beginning of the episode, where I say there's so many elements that go nowhere. This is a big one because Roger's not exaggerating. We spend a lot of time with this family. They're unlikable. Like the husband and wife don't seem to be able to stand each other, and we get this like 5-minute whole dialogue about the fact that he didn't get the spare or the spare tire or the tire iron back from her brother, and she calls him. I mean, it's just bickering. But yeah, we spend so much time. They have an elaborate chase scene through a house. They get stuck their vehicle gets stuck in the sand. They find dead bodies, and you think, oh my God, this couple, what's going to happen to them? Nothing. They just literally disappear from the film. None of them get killed. This has to be the most pointless set of characters I think I've ever seen in a film. Right up there. I mean, coincidentally, Roger, we just had a film last week that we said there was a duo of pointless characters in Owen and Chad from Shallow Grave. Oh, this family takes the cake. At least Owen and Chad were nice to look at and likable. This family, fuck them. Fuck them.
Fuck this family. Fuck all of them. And fuck the fact that, I'm going to say it right now, this family doesn't die. So I was really hoping at least, like, if you're going to introduce these obnoxious people, kill them. But they don't. But they do. I will say this first scene here, and this is a big gripe I have. This first scene that you get with them, you get actually what is a really cool setup. This is still early on into realizing that everything in this movie is in fact slow motion. And so you get this great setup where they get out in the middle of this like plaza, and the father's like, let's take photos amongst the birds. And like you as the viewer, you're like, oh no, the birds, the pigeons, be warned, the pigeons. And the family is loving it and they're all laughing. They're taking photos, holding pigeons, which is unsanitary. But whatever. Okay, so they're grabbing the pigeons, they're sitting on their shoulders and on their arms. And then like you start to get the sense that it's becoming like threatening. Like, you know, the birds start to like gather around them. You see shots of the birds like kind of all swarming in. They're flying around them. They do a good job of editing it so it looks like the birds are flying around them more violently. And it's building and it's building, and all of a sudden it just kind of stops building. And the family is suddenly like, oh no, like I'm scared, but like the birds aren't really doing anything. Like the birds are just kind of gathered around them, clustered around them, but they're not attacking. They're not really doing anything. And the family like makes a run for the car, and then the birds like start flying at the car. But like overall, like if you look at the scene, it had a really nice build to it, and there was absolutely no payoff. And so I don't understand like what even provoked the family to get scared here. Is it because the birds were just flying around them? I would be annoyed, but like it doesn't seem scary. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem threatening.
No, it's not threatening. That's just the sheer number of birds. Like it seems like the number of birds like increases drastically around this family as they're out in this little plaza. But yeah, their reaction is quite, I don't know, quite extreme. He like grabs his kids and they like rush to the car, but like nothing really happens. So like, it's not like the birds started like pecking them or anything, but like, yeah. But yeah, this whole setup, this whole scene just goes really nowhere until we cut to Vanessa driving to the Madrid airport with Peter. And there's a radio broadcast about a priest who basically fell into the river and drowned, but like people that witnessed it said that they saw a duck attack him before it happened and cause him to fall into the lake. I wanted to see that. Give me a fucking duck attacking a priest. Come on.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Give me the death of a priest in general. but give me, honestly, give me a duck attack. That's one gripe I have with this movie. I make it sound like I only have one gripe, and there's 35 of them. I am so mad that I never saw an attack in this film with a swan. I'm so mad I never saw an attack in this film with an ostrich. I'm so mad that I never saw an attack in this film with a turkey. They mention it, but like, I need to see a menagerie of birds. I need a wide variety of birds. If you're going to talk about something most foul, then you better come through with the foul, is what I'm saying. And I don't get enough of a variety of birds in this movie, but they sure talk about it.
It's legit. Pigeons, seagulls, doves. That's about it. Majority of pigeons, and I think maybe just because they're easier to wrangle and like throw at people. I mean, I think that's why Alfred Hitchcock used majority of pigeons in the birds
And hawks. I'll say there's some hawks in this
Yeah.
too.
Oh, there are a few. Yeah, there are a few. We do get some. We do get like B-roll footage or whatever of like various like flamingos strutting around and stuff, but they don't really come into play in the film. There is a moment again where, as they're driving to the airport, kind of a neat little moment where Peter sees a restaurant, and inside the restaurant there are chickens on a rotisserie. He makes the comment, "Well, hey, if someone stuck a pole through my ass and put me on a roaster, I'd be pretty pissed off too." Line delivery is terrible, but it's feeding into that whole idea of these birds. Look how terrible man treats birds and the environment, and they're out for revenge now.
Right. Now we're pivoting back to, I don't even know where we are at this point. Are we in Puerto Rico again? Are we back in Puerto Rico?
We're in Spain because we're at Giuseppe's house because he gets that phone call from that little girl.
Oh my God, you're right. Oh my God. Oh, let's take a minute to talk about this broad. So you get this moment, he takes a phone call and it's his granddaughter, Kathy. And I have never seen a child on camera who looks more terrified to be there than this kid. Like, he's like, hello, and she's like, hello, grandfather. And she has fear in her eyes. She's looking dead into the camera. No, like this kid does not want to be acting. I feel like they're like, we gotta get her child. And they're like, that one. And there's some kid on the street and they grabbed her, they abducted her, they put her in the movie. They're like, we'll let you free after you film the movie. Because this girl looks horrified to be on camera, but we are now introduced to yet another group of characters, which is like Giuseppe's entire extended family and the children that come with. And it's like, oh my wow. And now we meet his daughter, is what, Sharon? Is that her name?
Sharon. But yeah, and this is like a perfect example of what I'm saying, where I really think the director just let the actors have one take, because this little girl, you're right, she is terrified. She's looking straight at the camera. She is like, how's my horse? Oh, I think we're going to be there tomorrow. Okay. And she had bye. And she like runs off. And yes, so we get this daughter, this Sharon, who gets a lot more screen time than I thought. She ends up kind of almost being like the final girl, wouldn't you say?
I was not anticipating that at all. And yes.
No, she overtakes like, Vanessa towards the end of the film. It's kind of like the lead heroine. And it's like really shocking because this woman is a poor planner. You're trying to tell me, Roger, this pissed me off too. Shit like this. People don't think. They don't plan ahead. You're his daughter. This is his granddaughter. You are literally waiting until the day before to call your father to ask him if it's okay if you can have her birthday party at his house tomorrow. That should have been something that a lot more planning should have went into that, Sharon.
Oh, well, let me list my issues with Sharon. First of all, Sharon, your father just had his eye ripped out of his face by a hawk. Do you think he needs to be hosting a children's birthday party on his property? Second of all, I am thoroughly convinced that his property is in Spain, and nobody attending this party is Spanish. This is the whitest group of children you will ever see. Sharon looks fresh off the boat from Ireland with her bright red hair and her daughter who matches. Like, these people aren't living in Spain. Where are we? Like, where are we? And really, Sharon, I don't think that even though your father has an eye patch on, I do not think you should be straddling him with the responsibilities of hosting a fucking birthday party. It's selfish and it's wrong. But Sharon is fine with it. She's fine with it, and he seems okay with it too. But what he's not okay with is the hawk that's been watching him from outside of his window. That hawk's back, and it's looking for the other eye. I know it. That hawk wants the other eyeball.
Oh, the scene. I was like, did they? Yeah, but he tells her it's fine. Yeah, bring all the little fucking kids you want over tomorrow. Perfect. Whatever. He sees that fucking hawk, and what does he do? He loads his shotgun, Roger. He goes out, and he's like, well, you little bitches. Nature may be changing, but no one surprises me again. And he blows this hawk apart. And we see this hawk get blown apart.
I am convinced that we literally just saw a bird blown up, and I'm really hoping it was a fake bird, but like it looks pretty seamless, the shot of the bird flying and just exploding. And you see a lot of birds get shot over the course of this film, so like in my gut I feel like I know that that is a real bird dying, and it makes me mad. But it does make me feel like good that these birds are out to get their vengeance against this fucker. Because frankly, like, I kind of am like in some aspects rooting for the birds. Like some of these people are so obnoxious or so infuriating or just so like awful. I'm like, you know what? Honestly, I think the birds like kind of deserve a few wins here.
Well, I just got a kick out of seeing this old man go out on his patio and be like, well, you little bitches. I just didn't expect that from this character. In the midst of a global bird attack, Roger, Vanessa and Peter are lounging around in a elaborate looking luxurious hotel room. I'm assuming they're really taking advantage of the unlimited budget for travel that they have from her news station, because this has a fucking big old hot tub in it. We do get, Roger, this titty shot.
Oh,
I'm only mentioning it because it's the same shot like used like 3 times in this film, and it's not this actress. It's like this inserted titty shot of her like supposedly getting out of the shower, and you see her titties all covered in bubble bath, but then the next minute she's completely. It's like they got an extra that was willing to show boobs. We're gonna get a shot, and we're just gonna insert it randomly whenever we can fit it in the film.
my note here is literally a set of wet knockers with no explanation.
Yeah.
And it is literally with no explanation. Like, listen, here's the deal. We host a horror movie podcast, a review podcast. We know we're seeing titties, like big ones, small ones, fat ones, thin ones, big areolas. We're Troy and I, we could sit there and identify a woman based off her breasts at this point, because we've seen so many of them in this film. And this tit shot, like if you're going to give me like a full frontal, or not full frontal, but like a full tit shot like this, in my opinion, you have to like prepare me for it. Like you've got to at least set it up. This, it's like bam, tits to the camera with no explanation, or like no like setup, no tonal setup for it. And the thing that was really like threw me off is, I'm going to be real. Like first time I watched this movie, I did not know that Peter and Vanessa were even a couple. If anything, up to this point, it really almost seemed like she did not like him, like she's kind of annoyed by him. I did not pick up on the fact that there was any kind of chemistry between the two of them. And all of a sudden, you've got this fucking hotel sequence where these two are fucking canoodling, boobies hanging out, boozles to the camera, they're kissing. And I'm like, this is what I said earlier, where it seems like almost like the actors, like as the movie progressed, they became significantly less happy being on set, and so their attitudes just became a lot more sour. Because this scene between these two, it seems like they're way more into it. They seem to have a chemistry. These characters seem like they have an attraction to each other. They seem to really like each other. Up to this point, Troy, I did not think that these two were anything more than like assigned to work together because of their job. You get what I mean?
Yeah, no, I thought the same thing, because they have zero chemistry in the film. There's no moments of like her treating him like he is her boyfriend or vice versa. She snaps at him all the time. So this was really jarring to me, not just for the titties, but the fact that they're supposed to be like a couple and they're fucking. I was like, what? Where did this come from now? I thought this was just her fucking cameraman. But they do a toast with champagne to something big, and it's this bird story. Now we get this scene. We cut back to the gentleman that they interviewed earlier who had the canary scratch his eye. And I think that Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, I think you mentioned this as being maybe one of the standout scenes of the film, and it really is. I mean, it's pretty quick. You know, him and his wife are sitting at their dining room table in their little cabin. He hears a noise. He gets his gun. He goes outside, opens the door, stands outside for a moment, doesn't hear anything. His wife's behind him, and he's like, "Oh, I don't, nothing's out here." But all of a sudden, a fucking flock of pigeons and shit just fly right into the house and attack these poor people, and it's prolonged. I mean, these pigeons are on this guy. We're getting close-ups of them ripping his cheek apart, ripping his lips off. I mean, it's pretty. I gotta say, this is pretty well done.
This scene, if this film could have matched what this scene brings to the table throughout the rest of the film, we would be talking about a completely different movie, first of all. But we'd be talking about a movie I like way more. This scene is handled pretty well. We have not met his wife up to this point. I would have liked to have known more about her character, another random character that you're just getting introduced to out of fucking nowhere. But like, you get this nice setup. He walks up to the door. He opens the door because they're kind of lured outside. And all of the fucking sudden, birds, pigeons, doves flooding into this house. And this scene, I mean, yeah, it moves by pretty quick, but they linger on this attack. And this attack is actually quite impressive. Like, they show it in great detail. And what I find really horrifying about this moment is like, as the characters start to realize that they're actually being killed by these birds, like, I mean, they're terrified right away, but like the guy, when he drops to the ground and he starts getting pecked to death, his screams like go up into a higher pitch. Like, you hear the man's voice like become a shriek. And the things they show here, I mean, like the shots of the pigeons, it's kind of absurd, but they're pecking at the camera. They're pecking at their faces. You're seeing wounds open up. You're seeing shots of birds, like the doves flying around, red covered in blood. And it's just honestly, like, it's definitely the best scene in the movie. It's a pretty damn good scene in general. Like, I mean, like, all of my issues with this movie aside, I still think this scene hits. And like that, the final moments of the couple laying there covered in birds. Like, there's so many birds on top of them that you cannot even see the details of their bodies. I think it's actually quite chilling. I really wish this film could have taken this and found a way to apply it to the whole rest of the movie, because it's just it feels like a completely different film for a moment, and it's really a very strong sequence.
I would say, you know, I know that this. I mentioned Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, and that's kind of an inevitable comparison. But like, this is the scene that I think, if you were going to say, okay, which one out of this entire film, if any of them kind of nail or emulate The Birds the best, it's this particular scene. It is really well done. It's a shame that they kind of did not keep the momentum that they created with this particular scene throughout the film, because so much of everything else is just lackluster and seems like, I don't know. So back at the hotel, Vanessa and Peter are in that giant fucking bubble bath. We get another fucking titty shot because the phone rings. More titties. And it's basically a phone call from her manager telling her that that couple was killed and that she needs to get there to report on it.
Yes, this scene is strangely erotic. Like, again, for having this couple be two individuals who up to this point I didn't even know like were attracted to each other or liked each other. All of the sudden now, like, they're laying it on so thick, and this luxurious hotel, like, what the fuck? Like, and this whole bubble bath bit where he basically, he like talks to his dick. He's like, sorry, buddy, maybe next time. It just doesn't, honestly, it doesn't seem like the characters that we've been following up to this point. Like, it seems so different from the energy that they've shared with each other, or the kind of personalities that they developed. And I think it really does go to show how little development, especially with Peter. I mean, I mean, you can say he's the male lead, but this guy, he's only there for like literally like side commentary and nothing more. And he does not move the plot at all. He's just there with a camera. That's it. And I'm just shocked at how like underutilized he is for being in a majority of the film.
I know. And for being kind of a name actor, like, he's literally giving nothing to do. But yeah, their sex is interrupted because they have to go live report from this poor couple that was just mauled to death by birds. And this moment, Ryder, she looks dramatically into the camera. She's reporting, and she's like, it seems white doves have declared a war against mankind.
white doves, symbols of peace, now symbols of death. And yeah, it's so melodramatic. You get a lot of that from her, though. And she does a few more of these talking to the camera news segments coming up later. Not her strongest moments in the film. Meanwhile, we get introduced to another group of people briefly. And it's this group of youths who are driving in an RV across the country or wherever they're going. I don't know. I don't even know where they are. They're driving the RV. There's a girl in the back seat. There's a couple of guys. I don't think we get any of their names. Do you know any of their names?
No.
Do they seem like they're being introduced with purpose?
I mean, we're spending some time with them. She's, she wants to park along the beach. And she's like, oh, there's like sexual innuendos that are made that I found real awkward because they're made almost to the point where like these two don't really know each other. Because she says something about, oh, park so we can get out and, I want to get out and walk on the beach. And he says to her, oh, is that all you want to do is walk on the beach? And her response is something like, oh, I don't know. Do you fool around? And I'm like, this is real weird. And then it just like randomly cuts to her in a bikini jogging along the beach.
I don't know what is going on with this moment, but this is, oh man, she's jogging on the beach in a bikini in slow motion, and all of a sudden she like stops and she's like, oh my god, like her face, like she's seeing something. And you go to the inside of like, what is it, the sailboat, or is it the inside of the RV?
It's the
like,
RV, I think.
it's the
Yeah.
RV. When she's running, it looks like there's a boat alongside her. So I thought it was in the boat, but no, she goes to the RV, and you see this moment of the one guy that she's driving with, and he like hears the sound of glass breaking, and he sits up, and it cuts away, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I am confident that there was a kill scene that happened there that went awry or something didn't get done right, because it cuts away and it cuts to another moment, and like it feels so unsatisfying because this guy, like, you see his body here in a minute, like a little bit later. I mean, I couldn't tell you anything about this dude. I don't know what their backstory is. I don't know what his name is. I don't know the purpose he's serving. And even what she becomes, her character, comes back into play here a little bit. And you feel like, oh, if you're going to bring a character like this back into play, okay, well, obviously there's some motivation behind it. Nope. Nope, absolutely not. These two characters specifically, there is a lot of characters in this film who are underutilized or just not properly utilized at all. These two get the worst of it. And that's saying a lot in this movie. There are so many characters who are just clunky, don't have enough exposition, don't have enough explanation as to their purpose, don't have a purpose. And these two, man, like, ooh, I don't understand. Like, why wouldn't you just cut this out? Like, just fucking cut this side story out. It does not do anything at all.
I think, yeah, the only thing I can think of is it's supposed to, they left it in just so that we can have this next scene where his body is discovered. Yeah, because you're right. We don't know what happens to him. He hears a noise. We get a real zoom in on his terrified looking face, but that's it, because it cuts to the couple who we saw earlier in the park get surrounded by the pigeons. We're back to them now. So this is the point where you think, okay, these people must be important, because here we are with them again. They're driving along the beach when they get a flat tire. So they get out. This is with that whole dialogue that the wife and husband have about the missing jack, and, oh, your brother never returned it. Oh, you should have got it back. Fuck. The kids run off, and they see that there's a camper in the distance. They see the camper, the kids. The kids are like, oh, mom, dad, there's a camper. We'll go ask them if they have help. So they cut to the kids running up to the camper. They knock on the door, these annoying fucking kids, and the one runs up and opens the camper door, and the body of that man who we just saw literally falls out of the camper, all bloody, followed by a few birds.
Yeah. You can say this is literally like the tie-in with him. It's such a minor bit. You know, the girl's going to have to come into play in some way, shape, or form. And she does here. But, now you have it established with this family that they're in danger. And so there's this whole thing now of this family basically trying to escape this flock of birds that seems to be pursuing them, and they start coming upon all of this death and destruction all around them. And you really feel like, oh, for a moment, like, oh my gosh, like the focus has shifted. Like this family is a major subplot here, or so you think.
Yeah. And let me tell you, they get back in that car and they have some of the most monotone reactions to seeing dead bodies strewn across the beach. The father is like, "Oh, kids, you need to simmer down. I know what we saw is terrible, but you got to get it out of your mind." And they're in the meantime, they're driving by a school bus that has bodies falling out of the fucking window. And the dad's reaction is just like, "Oh, this is terrible, kids. I know. Don't look." It is so cringy.
And like in concept, this is really cool. The idea that you're starting to see just how mass the violence is, like how much violence there is widespread now. But I feel like the way that this film progresses, like you don't even know it. Like all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, like this is happening like all around the world. Like this is really happening to this extent. Like you see this whole school bus with corpses all over the place, and you're like, whoa, like this looks like a big fucking to do. But then there's other moments that you cut back to where things seem like completely normal. So yeah, it's just hard to kind of like understand exactly what's going on. The timeline seems all over the place.
The timeline, yeah, the severity of what's going on, because if there's literally bodies strewn up and down a beach and a road, I would think people would be aware of that. But like, no, it's not really a big deal. Like I said, this family could not be reacting less enthusiastically if they try. I mean, it is so bad how these characters act. It's ridiculous. And they're making stupid choices because like the dad gets out, he stops his Jeep. I also want to know how did they fix the flat tire? So like, how did the flat tire get fixed? Because one minute they have a flat tire, the second minute we see them, they're driving perfectly fine. I guess we're supposed to make the leap in logic that they got a jack from the camper, but it's not shown. It certainly, we have no indication of how all of a sudden this Jeep doesn't have a flat tire anymore. That's another question I have. But he gets to the school bus, he gets out of the truck, goes to look in the school bus, sees all these dead bodies, birds fly out at him. He runs back into the Jeep, and all these birds are like flying around them. And instead of staying in the Jeep, he's like, "Oh, we're going to get out and run to that house over there." So he literally gets his family out when there's birds all over the place, and they run into this house.
And the birds aren't doing anything. Let's be clear. Like the birds are just kind of sitting around, you know, not really like it doesn't seem like the birds are doing much other than being, I guess, like slightly intimidating. But there's a lot of shots of the family running in slow motion with birds just like in the background, like lining up on the buildings and everything, but they're not doing anything. And so it does kind of feel like the birds are picking and choosing when they attack. There's a lot of times where I'm like, why aren't the birds attacking? This is a prime time to swoop down and kill these people. Why are they not acting on it right now?
Yeah, I mean, they do get into that house, that abandoned house, and I guess the birds do start like flying against the window and stuff. And then we get like, we just all of a sudden fade into like shots of like birds going about their daily business. We see some flamingos marching, we see owls, we see all these various birds that we've never seen. We haven't seen these types of birds so far anymore. We see swans, geese, but then we realize that we are at an aviary, and Vanessa and Peter are there interviewing a doctor that works at this aviary. And she asks him if he's noticed any strange behavior from the birds here. And he says no, but I think it's because here the birds have less freedom. Like they know that they're kind of trapped in these cages and they have a routine. And then there's just like more force-fed chatter about how man is destroying their habitat, and basically that these birds are having to do something because man is ruining their migration pattern and ruining their nesting sites. So the birds have to figure out how they are going to survive as a species. And I guess how they figure that out is they're just going to kill humans.
I mean, if there's one interesting concept in the middle of all this, it is the idea that, like, and it's something that we've seen in other movies, but that, like, man is the cause behind this, and nature is eventually going to have to revolt in some way, shape, or form. And it is something that I like that idea. You know, I do like that. I'm a fan of films that take that concept and play with it. And that's why I think like this film, like at its core, I think there's a really good idea here. I like the worldwide epidemic kind of almost. The fact that there is this mass outbreak of birds just across the world revolting against humans. I would not mind seeing something like this attempted again with like a different, better script at some point. But in the way this is executed, like it just gets lost in the translation. Like there is a really intriguing concept there, but god damn it, this movie is just so fucking bad. Like it just doesn't matter.
So now we're back with the dad who is outside trying to dig the Jeep out of the hole it got stuck in. And the wife and kids watch him from a house. And suddenly that woman, and see, you're talking about like random people showing up and like you didn't realize that Giuseppe, the guy with the eye patch, was the guy at the beginning shooting the birds. Until you just mentioned it like 5 minutes ago, I did not realize that this broad running up and pounding on the window was that same girl from the RV. I had no clue. I just thought this was just some random woman.
Yeah, no, same gal, same gal. And really, like, again, I love ensemble pieces. I love when like ragtag groups of people come together, band together. Um, I was thinking like, oh, cool, like they're gonna start, people are gonna start coming together, characters are gonna start connecting, and it's gonna be like a survival, like a group of people who are trying to get off the island or survive the night or whatever it may be. It's almost like the Night of the Living Dead esque kind of approach. This film does not take that. You've got this girl. She comes into the picture for a moment. She has maybe like 5 lines of dialogue. Overall, though, like she couldn't be less important. Like it really is upsetting how little they give this girl to do.
Well, they let her in. She's hysterical. She's like, "Oh, I don't know what happened." And so the dad comes back in. They lock the doors. The birds start like getting into the house. They do start getting into the house. They're flying through the windows and shit. And the dad says, "Oh, we got to find some place to hide." This random woman suggests that they run outside, get under the pier, and hide under it so that they can dive underwater when the birds attack. I'm like, random girl, do you not see that there's like children here? Like you're wanting these children to get into the water and like get under. Not the smartest idea, but Roger, everyone goes along with it, and they like literally run through the house, go outside, get chased by a few birds who again don't really seem like they're that bothered by this family. Yeah, they're flying around encircling them, but it's not like they're swooping down and attacking them. But this group gets into the water and literally hides under this dock.
And this does not sound like a good plan, but they all seem on board for it. And I mean, okay, like here's the deal. If this is a plan and it's going to work, cool. Make a run for it, get under the dock, and then take it somewhere. Let's see where this goes. Listeners, let me be clear. If you did not watch this film, I don't understand why you'd be listening to this review, but let's just say it. This is the last that we see of these people until like a brief moment at the end of the movie. Like this is their conclusion. They get under this pier, them and this girl, and you do not see them again until the film is in its final like seconds.
You get a clip of them, like it's real quick. You get a clip of them in a motorboat speeding away.
Yes, you do.
But that's it. Yeah, and then that's it. Yeah, this is it. They hide under the pier. Apparently, that was enough to save their lives. I don't know. I thought birds could get into the water. There's things like ducks that get into water. I didn't think that this was like the smartest idea, and I was like totally perplexed at why everyone went along with it, especially a family with 2 children. Like, you're going to get my children into this water and like push them underwater? No, ma'am. I mean, we can find a different place to hide, but no, they do it, and it's the last you see of them. And then we cut to Roger. This scene. This next scene, it goes on forever, and I guess the payoff is okay, but holy fuck, it's this random couple, more random people, and they're windsurfing.
Well, we're also like the last 25 minutes of the movie, by the way. Like, let's just say that, like, like you're still meeting random new characters, and it's like the movie is coming up on its like final stretch, and I literally like when I saw new faces, I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
And it's, a random windsurfing couple. And when I tell you that this scene goes on forever, I am not exaggerating. Like, we get a whole song that's playing over this, and the song like actually finishes. It's something about Choose who survives. Choose who survives. And this couple is just like windsurfing, windsurfing, windsurfing. When all of a sudden the man, his name's Alex, he is attacked by a screeching hawk who proceeds to peck his neck and then rip his eye out, claw his eye out. When his woman, the woman is in the other, she's windsurfing next to him, and all she can do is she goes, Alex, in the most, Alex, and he literally like. He's screaming, blood's gushing out of his eye, and he crashes into the rocks below.
I mean, I'll say it right now. Like, is this scene one that goes on way too long? Abso-fucking-lutely. This scene is excruciatingly long. But the parts of this that hit for me, they do hit. I'm not going to talk about it till I'm blue in the face, but I am going to say, like, I think it's a really cool concept to have these individuals midair and helpless as they're being attacked by this bird. Because, I mean, hawks are intimidating. I mean, when you see these birds full wingspan, these things could get fucking huge. They're dangerous, and like, especially with the talons and everything, as he's flying around, slashing the guy's throat, cutting his throat and everything before you, again, claiming the eyeball. These birds love to take eyeballs. But it is a pretty graphic sequence. The buildup is way too much, but as she starts to like go in landing and he plummets to the ground below and she lands, there are some moments here that I think really stand out. There is one specific shot of her when she gets out of the parasail and she goes to run across the beach. And there's so few moments in this film where you actually have humans and birds like actually like in pursuit. You see the bird in the same shot. It's always like cutting over to B-roll, cutting over to shots of flocks taking off to the sky. This shot here, this sequence, you see this hawk. It had to be a trained hawk flying up behind her, closing in on her, and she has to like defend herself. And she's one of the only people in this film that actually gets a chance to fight back, and she kills this fucking hawk. I mean, she does. Like, she takes one of the metal rods from the parasail and she stabs this thing, and she then beats it with her helmet. So at least she gets like a kill in. But I don't know who this woman is. I don't know anything about her.
She doesn't come back into play, and I'm sorry. I mean, I guess it is a pretty well shot scene, had to have been a complicated scene to do, in the air, because there's a hole. I mean, you're getting the camera swooping around these two as they're doing this air gliding and stuff. And I guess the payoff is fine, but like for me, it was just like, it was too little too late. I can appreciate like the craft that went into the scene, but like, I just didn't care at this point.
Sure.
Particularly because it was just more like random people. Like, let's up the stakes. Let's have some of our main characters be attacked. Let's see Vanessa and Peter in some real danger. We never really see that. And so at this point I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Let's get this over with and move on. It's impressive, but just not enough for me to like be like excited about that I got to see this particular scene, because like I said, it's just too little too late for me. But I mean, like I said, yeah, the payoff, it is cool seeing this woman. Actually, she's like the only person in the entire film that actually gets to like fucking fight back against one of these birds and actually do some damage, besides Giuseppe, who he was shooting innocent birds. She actually gets the bird that killed her partner. She stabs it with that fucking pole. So I was like, okay, cool. Now let's see more of her. Nope, she's gone. She's gone.
It is infuriating, the fact that this is a character that you would not revisit. You do see her also at the end for a split second watching the news report, but it's not enough. And when you say too little too late, perfect. You're absolutely right. If this would have happened 20 minutes sooner and this character would have come back into play in some way, shape, or form, I think this would have worked so much better for me. But you can't just throw a scene like this in there and not give it any additional explanation or tie it into the story in any other way. You can't just throw this at me and expect it to sit well. I don't care if it's well edited. I don't care if it's a strong sequence. I don't care how lavish it is with your paragliding or whatever the fuck it is. It doesn't matter, because it's not in any way enhancing the rest of the film. It's not enhancing the story.
No, and let's talk about, we are approaching like the final 20 minutes of the film, and let's just talk about the word lackluster, because that's what these last 25 minutes are. This has to be like the most lackluster final 20 minutes of a disaster, animal themed, any type of film I've seen in my entire life, to the point where I just don't really care about any of this shit now. I just like, it's this, what happens here is so fucking ridiculous. It's nonsensical. Nothing makes sense, because we do get, okay, so we get a little bit moment of preparations for the birthday party at Giuseppe's property. And of course, while everyone's prepping the decorations and stuff, the flock of birds flies overhead. Okay, so now we cut to, I'm assuming, where are we at? Is this Madrid? Is this the mayor of Madrid? He's saying they have to evacuate the town. He's with Vanessa. Now, why would the mayor of a major city like be confiding in this like low rent TV news reporter? Why is she and her cameraman privy to being in the chambers with the mayor and his cohorts? Why? That's one thing. Like, she's not, obviously she's not like a very famous news reporter. She's doing these reports, yeah, about the birds, but like, that gives her the clearance to be in the chambers while the mayor's making decisions to evacuate the town, and she actually has some input in what goes down.
Well, I understand that she is like the news reporter that I think was one of the early ones to start addressing the story, which also makes me think that this is something that's taking place over a period of weeks because she's gathering more information. But for as much as you see Vanessa and as much as you hear her give these lackluster reports, I don't think you really start to understand the severity or the amount of impact that she herself is having in this development. Like, I think this is her story. You get this brief scene here with her boss again, where he looks like he's hosting an orgy, talking to her on the phone in his silk robe, saying like, "Oh, the story is all over the place now. It's your story. Like, basically, your story is blowing up." But you don't get enough to really make it clear that she's a major playing factor in this. So when you have the scene with, I'm guessing, the mayor of Madrid, which I would think this would be a far more elaborate scenario, but it's just her and Peter and the mayor and a bumbling police officer in this like bumfuck little room. And they're like, well, there's no ways to get out of here. They blocked all the roads are blocked. Like, how the birds are blocking the roads is beyond me. I mean, drive through them. I don't know. Like, I mean, these birds, like they're organizing, but they're not like able to build walls. Like, they're not dropping bombs. But they're like, oh, but at least they're like, what about the train? Is the train still here? And the cop's like, oh, I'll go check. And then like all of a sudden it cuts to the train. And it's just like, again, it's like really awkward pacing, because I'm supposed to just understand that this gal, this news reporter, somehow manages to convince the mayor of Madrid, from my understanding, the mayor of Madrid, to pack the citizens of Madrid onto a single train and export them out of Madrid. Like, that better be a big train, a very big train. And I mean, it just seems like this is a plan that there's some holes. I think there's some holes in the plan.
Roger, I did not understand this whole train bit whatsoever. Like, what was the purpose of them getting to this train? She suggests that they need to basically increase their population. Like, if the humans like concentrate their population, they can defeat the birds, which I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. But then she's like, oh, is that train still here? And then all of a sudden they're on a train. It's not a packed train. You get some like random senior citizens, some punks and shit that she's encountering, that are like trying to like talk back to her because she's telling everybody what they need to do. You need to close your window, stay in your thing, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, who gives you the right to do this? But I did not understand what the whole purpose of this like train thing was. And none of these passes are taking this broad seriously for the fact that we were just told that the story's blowing up and like she's the hottest, it's the hottest story out there. None of these people seem to know who she is on this train. And they're even like talking back to her, and like one dude says, oh, you're worried about birds? Why don't you just call Colonel Sanders? So it just doesn't make any sense. None of them. She's supposed to be so fucking popular with this news story, but nobody knows who the fuck she is.
Well, also, aren't they in Madrid? Because all of these people, my understanding, are very, very, very white. I mean, the whitest of people, and the punks with the big hair. It seems like they just grab random people off the streets and put them on the train, which I guess is what is happening. But I would think they would be Spanish people being in Madrid. But yeah, so like that's the plan, and like they're on this train, and okay. Meanwhile, that birthday party is happening, so you've got that story, and again, like, you've got multiple storylines happening, but the fact that they do not intercept at all is like really starting to get frustrating at this point, because like you're getting to the final 20 minutes of the movie at this point. You know you're building towards some kind of a climax, but you're in like two different areas of the world. Or I think they're both in Spain, but they're still in two separate areas of Spain. So like you're starting to understand like, oh wait, these stories are not going to connect at all, are they? Like there's no final conclusion that brings all of this together, and that is like my biggest gripe overall, is how everything is so like loose, how loose it's all played, the fact there's no connectivity. It's just a sign of really bad writing, in my opinion, like a really bad script. But yeah, you've got this birthday party, and for me, like, you know, again, if you're going to talk about trying to replicate the birds, this whole bit here, having fucking Sharon and these kids with the birthday party and everything happening with this, and the, you know, obviously the birds are starting to surround them, and of course they are. This feels especially Hitchcock to me. This whole bit of her and the kids locked in this big house as the birds are surrounding them.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole climax of the film is mainly this party. Yes, the kids are outside playing. Birds start circulating. Giuseppe notices all the birds and he demands everyone gets inside. So they all run inside. These birds start to descend on them. Dramatic. We get more dramatic slow motion of kids running inside. The one girl pulling her little horse. Then there's that one little fucking brat. Who is this? Linda, Kathy, that goes back outside. So this little girl gets people killed because she goes back outside to get that fucking party horn. And Giuseppe has to run out and grab her, and he like pulls her away. And the birds start to attack. Like he puts her under a table. The birds are flying against the table. He's like, we're gonna make a run for it. And as they're making a run for it, does he just have a heart attack? It just drops dead.
Well, he's getting attacked by the birds, and he's grabbing the kid hiding under the table, and I think that he just starts to get overwhelmed by the birds. Okay.
The birds don't descend on him until he's laying on the ground. I think he has a heart attack. He's fine. He's running fine. And then all of a sudden he stops and he like grabs his chest and he's holding the girl, and then he like collapses onto the ground. And the little girl, is laying there crying. And then the birds start to descend on them, because that's when Sharon and that fucking nurse see that Linda or Kathy or whatever the fuck this kid's name is out there. So they run out there and she's like, Dad. And he's laying there. And now the birds, I think he had a heart attack and died. And the birds are like picking him apart.
I mean, so now he's dead, and you kind of knew it was coming because he did, shoot all those birds earlier. So that does make sense. And in a way, it's kind of satisfying. But now you're left with fucking Sharon and like these children. And if there's one thing Troy and I can't stand, it's children. It's the presence of children, and there is a lot of them. And Sharon and this poor, sensible nurse, also very white, are in charge of, taking care of these kids. And like, when you realize, like, oh my God, it's just this dame and all these children for the last stretch of the movie. I mean, as if I wasn't already pulled out of it, I'm like, oh God, buckle the fuck up. Here we go. And these kids, I mean, especially that Kathy, but not one of these kids can get a goddamn fucking line of dialogue out. They're all just wide-eyed, terrified, hiding. They don't really do anything. You don't even really know where they are for a good chunk of the film, but it gets real fucking lame.
Yeah, you get the mom grabs the kids and some of the kids like separate and they like run down into the basement. So it's basically Sharon, Kathy, and I think Linda is the other one's name. She gets them into the room, and fucking Kathy's screaming her fucking head off because birds start flying into the fireplace, into the room. And of course, I mean, good for Sharon. She does pick up that fucking fireplace poker and starts swinging at him in slow motion, and then has the common sense to build a fire so they can't come out on the fireplace anymore. Now we cut back to that fucking train, Roger. We see the train is passing all these fucking dead bodies. But then this random fucking group of sheep are just like on the tracks now.
I'm like, is this really going to be like the final, like this is the last hurdle they have to overcome as a flock? Like is it what, a flock of sheep? Is that the term?
Flock of sheep, yeah.
A flock, sure. Okay. I was like, God, nature is really out to get these people, because if it's not the birds, it's the sheep. And so like the train has to slow down and stop, and they are like, okay, we've got to cut the fence and get the sheep across before the birds get to us, which I think would happen pretty quickly because birds can fly. But that's it. Like that's the suspense of all of it. Like they're like, we got to stop the train to get the sheep across the railroad. Yes, it.
they do that. Actually, Peter gets out. He cuts the fence so that the sheep can get through, so it unblocks the tracks. In the meantime, Vanessa is telling passengers to stay inside, close their windows. Again, they're snapping at her. There's this elderly couple that are like real hostile towards her. That punk couple, unfortunately, a couple of them open the window, so birds do get into the train. And as the train gets going, like birds get in, like the birds are full attacking. So all of the train passengers have to run, and we get this dramatic slow motion of all these passengers running through this train, almost giving me like Terror Train vibes. And fucking Vanessa's grabbing little kids and old people, and that one co-conductor gets attacked and killed. But they all make it to the front of the main car where they're able to shut the door, and none of the birds can get in. I don't know how common practice it is for train conductors, Roger, to carry grenades, but this one apparently does, because he unhooks the car from the rest of the cars where the birds are. He proceeds to launch 2 grenades into the rest of the car and blow them up.
When I realized what was happening, I at this point my brain was shut off, so I wasn't even angry anymore. But I was just like, okay, so they're trying to make the most out of a really stupid situation. They've got people running through the train. You got the one conductor goes in for some reason to check if there's people in there, and he gets killed by the birds. So he's swarmed, covered in birds for a second. Okay, and then all of a sudden, the other conductor's like, one for him, one for me. And he takes out 2 grenades and he throws them in the train. And I'm like, where the fuck did those grenades come from? Like, who had those? Why didn't you use them earlier? I mean, like, not saying there's an ideal time to use them. If you're going to have, like, Chekhov's gun, like, you've got to make sure that, like, you acknowledge it before you use it at the final moment, or else it's not going to make sense. And if they would have brought these 2 items, these 2 grenades, up in some form of dialogue or mentioned them some way, shape, or form, it would have maybe been a little bit more palatable, but like not really, because this is such a stupid ending. And the fact that they blow up the one like train car, like they make it seem like it's this like really big development. Like they are like, wow, this is a conclusion. Like, we solved a problem. And I'm like, do you know how many birds exist on this planet? Billions. The 20 birds that you killed in that train car, that isn't chipping away at the iceberg. That is the amount of birds that you have to deal with if this really is a thing. But somehow, like Troy, somehow, some way, this is like the conclusion. Like, this is the finale.
I want to point out, Roger, this is the conclusion to our 2, what we have thought of as our leads. This is the conclusion to Peter and Vanessa's saga with these birds. This is it. This is how it ends. They literally, there's no moment of like where they're seriously in danger. There's no moment of them getting to really do anything to fight back, because it's not even one of them that throw their grenades. It's just like, we follow these 2 characters and they end up having nothing to do with the climax of the film, because after this, we cut to Sharon, who is still in that house. So she has to take she's carrying Linda or Patty or whatever the fucking kid. She's carrying this kid for the rest of the movie. I kept thinking to myself, this poor actress, because it's not a doll. Like, you can tell that she is hauling this kid around for the final 15 minutes of this movie. Because I was paying attention. This is the real child that she's carrying. I'm like, this director is evil, making this poor woman haul this child around through the rest of the movie. They're going through the house, exploring nooks and crannies. There's children everywhere. We did miss that moment, Roger, because they have to walk by that nurse's body. That blonde nurse does get killed earlier. When they first run into the house, she gets attacked when she runs upstairs, and like the birds push her off the balcony, because as they're walking through the house, they walk past her body.
I will say that's one of like the better kills in the film. I personally feel the whole moment of her getting swarmed with them, and of course it's in slow motion, but at least it is a moment where you see her body like go over the railing. Kathy's watching. So yeah, that is definitely like one of the more standout moments, but that's not saying a whole lot overall. I mean, it really is not in the great scheme of things. Like, we're really grasping at straws here, trying to give this film a compliment.
Yeah, we get minutes of this mother calling these kids through the house. The birds now, they're just like perched up on antlers. They're not really doing anything, so that like the suspense just isn't there because it's not like they're being attacked. For as long as the scene takes to get where it's going, I expected it to be a little bit more suspenseful, but now the birds are just chill. They're just perched out on the banisters, perched out on the fireplace mantle. They're not doing anything. So ultimately what ends up happening is the kids come out of the basement. They were hiding in the basement. She gets all the kids. She's like, we're getting out of here. So she literally takes all the kids. They run outside. They get into this car, this little SUV. How she fits all these fucking kids in there, I'll never know. But she rams them in there like a goddamn clown car. Like 4 more kids that are just
There's
randomly.
more. There's more children.
They're like looking, they're like, oh, they're gonna leave us. So these kids have to bolt out of the house again in slow motion. It could be suspenseful if the birds were chasing these fucking kids, but they're not. But they all get into this car and they drive away freely. The birds are just like all chilling now. And now, Roger, we cut to fucking Vanessa given the broadcast that the attacks have stopped suddenly. The birds have ceased. Maybe, she says, the birds knew they could never defeat the cruelest killer of all, man. Or maybe it was just a message to take better care of the earth, or part of a larger master plan on their part. And then we cut to water and like loud buzzing from various like bodies of water, and then like ripples around the surface of the water. And I'm hoping that they're not insinuating like the fish are gonna like try to kill people next or what.
Oh, they absolutely are, without a doubt in my mind. I'm thrilled that that's the final note to leave this movie on. What I'm not thrilled with is everything else about this ending. I have not been this angry at the conclusion of a film in a long time. This ending left me, I would dare say, irate. It really felt like this movie, with all of the locations and all of these big dramatic moments, that it was building up to something. And even once they got in the train, I was like, okay, I can run with this. Like, because the train's driving by, shots of bodies hanging out of houses with birds pecking at them. You really think that this is like a worldwide devastation. But as quickly as it becomes a thing, it is over. And this whole ending with this train car blowing up is just fucking bullshit. Like, I say it time and time again. For me, like, I really want to see a movie raise the stakes. And this movie just kind of let it all go, and everything just kind of flopped and just deflated before my eyes. Like, it was really the most anticlimactic finale I could have ever possibly witnessed. And I am so mad that this is the note that they end on. This whole broadcast, like, they do show some of the characters. They show that pissy family watching it. They show the blonde who survived the fucking aerial attack in the paragliding bit. And then they also show this random red-haired woman with a baby that we've never seen before. And the last note that we end on is this random baby just giggling as this woman's watching this news report. And then it ends. And I'm like, God, like, this is, if you're going to talk about a movie that drops the ball within the last final stretch of the film, I can't think of a better example of a movie that just absolutely fails when it comes to its ending.
This movie never had the ball, Roger, but yeah, this ending is atrocious. It is one of the most lackluster, pointless, infuriating endings I've seen from, even looking at it from like a writer standpoint. Like, how are you, like, the characters that end up being like, I don't know, like, you're going to give us 2 lead characters that we follow through the entire film, and then they're not even the focal point of the final climax of the film, really. It's just, I wanted a moment where Vanessa and Peter were truly in danger. I wanted to see like how really severe these birds attacks were across the world, but we don't get that. And yeah, the ending for it to just like literally have no end, like, your ending is literally like, oh well, the birds just decided to stop. That's it. End of movie. Bye. I was so fucking mad. I was so mad. Possibly the worst ending of a film I've seen, and if not ever, I mean, close to it. There's been some terrible endings, but this one is right up there. Right up there. I don't know if I can truly like feel good about like recommending this movie, Roger. I just wow, I don't want to put anybody through this.
Oh, I ain't recommending anything about this movie unless you want to see a movie that is genuinely just a horrible film. Then don't watch this movie. I mean, if that's what you're looking for, then maybe this is the treat for you. If you like really bad movies, there are moments of this that are laughable. I did laugh out loud the first time that I watched this through several times because it's just so absurd. But like, yeah, like I mean, for the final like sequence, like oh my god, the possibilities were endless for where they could have taken this finale. Birds, killer birds. Put him up against a bunch of penguins. I don't know. I mean, put him in a fucking put him in a poultry production plant and have the chickens revolt or something. I mean, you could have done so many things where you could have had so many varieties of birds. Take them to a zoo. Put them in a zoo and let them go up against the array of birds that exist there. Flamingos, I don't know. To end it on a train and to make the birds, here's the biggest thing, to make the birds feel so secondary at the end of this movie. Like, really, like when you said that the birds do not seem threatening, as that family gets in the car and drives away, it is very reminiscent of the ending of The Birds. And I do find it almost shocking that for a film that's obviously trying to take so much from The Birds while be its own thing, the fact that they would end it on such a similar note. If you think of the birds, they all, they leave the house. The birds are all completely still outside watching them. They don't do anything. They get in the car and they drive away. That's the end. This ends with the exact same note, but you end it with that fucking Sharon and her kids, who to me are just so like not important overall. And, we've been tracking Vanessa and her overall journey of accepting that this is her news story and coming to terms that this is a bigger story than she expected. And now she feels like it's her duty to deliver it. And at the point in the train when she's starting to take charge, she seems like her character is really starting to become, she's really coming into herself and she's becoming a little bit more of a leader. And then they just ditch it. They just are like, fuck, her character doesn't need a final arc. Why? Why would you? We've only been following her for the whole film. Oh man, it was just so unsatisfying. So yeah, like I picked this movie because I knew this was a shit show. I knew we were gonna be able to make fun of it. We've watched a lot of movies that we've genuinely enjoyed recently. And I did really I wanted to be able to just tear a film apart and make fun of it. And I think we were able to do that, but I am not recommending, unless you want to have an experience where you too can make fun of a movie. I am not recommending Beaks the movie to a horror film aficionado. I'm not saying that watch this, you're going to enjoy it. I'm going to say watch this. This is horrible and you can make fun of it at great lengths.
Yeah, and let us know if there are listeners out there, if there's any of you out there that actually like this movie, and genuinely like it, like in a sense that you don't think it's bad. I'm not talking about somebody out there that thinks this movie is so bad it's good. We're not talking about that. I'm like talking about you genuinely think this is a good movie. Please let us know and explain yourself, because I'm genuinely curious. I'm genuinely curious. And again, I'm not talking about, oh, that movie's terrible and we want to make fun of it and laugh. That's not the type of like I'm talking about. I'm like, you genuinely think, yes, Beaks, that's a good movie. Yeah. Let us know why, because I can't fathom it. I literally cannot. But I'm open to hearing if there are fans of this movie out there. What makes you a fan of this movie? What makes you say Beaks is a good movie beyond being able to laugh at it? But yeah, with that, I'm not suggesting it. I'm glad we're done.
Oh man, it really is a horrible film, and one of the worst that we've covered here on Dark Knight, the podcast. But I know moving forward for the next few weeks, I like to think that we're not going to straddle our listenership with bad movies. I think we've got a few good ones up our sleeve as well. I don't know. I have no idea what your next pick is though, and you've got the next one, don't you, Troy?
I do have the next one, Roger, and I'm scratching my head at kind of thinking what it should be. And after Beaks, I think we need something. But yeah, I think we need a little bit of a palate cleanser. And my go-to for palate cleansers after doing a film that I not necessarily don't like is to fall back on my favorite era of horror and my favorite kind of subgenre of horror, and that is 80s slashers. So I have one on my list. It's been on my list for quite a long time, and I'm surprised we haven't covered it yet, but we're going to jump right into it because I know the film has a cult following. It has a lot of fans. So my pick for our next episode, Roger, is going to be the 1980 horror slasher dark comedy Motel Hell. Yeah, I haven't revisited revisited Motel Hell for quite some time, so I'm really excited to hop on, watch it again, and chat it with you, because I know there's a lot of aspects of the film that we're really going to be able to have some fun with.
Ooh, Motel Hell. That's a fitting selection, Troy, seeing as I'll be out of the country traveling in Europe, going to Germany. I can see myself in my own Motel Hell since we'll be staying in a hostel for one of those experiences. So, ooh boy, here we go. And so, yes, listeners, I'll be gone for about a week, but we've got this great episode here to keep you entertained. And when we get back, sounds like we're going to be spending a night at the Motel Hell. Perfect.
Absolutely. So, guys, watch Motel Hell to prepare for our next episode, and let us know your thoughts on this episode. Check out our Patreon. And with that, we will be back with you next week at the Motel Hello, but the O's burned out. Ha 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 ha.
Talk to you guys soon.
All right, guys. Good night.